Hello, amazing people. We are so excited to be back for another amazing episode of Age of Awæcnian. Age of Awæcnian. Soulful Stories Unveiled. I don't know, I felt like singing today and tapping into the joy and the fun. And I really love these conversations, Flea, sharing people's stories, their wisdom, going in. What is it that you're loving about what we're doing together and the people that have been coming on with us?
There's so many things. Like, first of all, just getting to meet beautiful people from all around the world. This is not something I ever believed would happen to me. It's like, oh, cool. I actually know people from nearly every country now. So that's amazing in itself. And then just the tapping into the wisdom, but also that clarity for self. Like, so, there's a lot of things that we know internally or instinctually, and we just don't trust it. And it's not until we have these conversations with beautiful other people that we go, oh, that's what I was thinking, but you said it in a different way. So I love that we get to transform this language of expression and knowledge and wisdom in so many different facets. It's like every single person brings their own unique thread into the weave of this tapestry that is just so remarkable. And yeah, I think that's my favorite part, is just really seeing how it all comes together, all these little pieces and technicalities and stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I love this weaving metaphor that we love to play with. And it's like this unveiling as well as like a coming together, which I think is really beautiful. And we're so excited to have our next amazing guest tuning in all the way from the US, beautiful Mary Miller, who has been doing this amazing work. Again, taps into the intuitive, into the divine, and also this beautiful place where she can tap into the Akashic records, into the energy work, and also this other beautiful space where she can channel in through information and help heal those that come to her. And this deep piece about us being whole and holy, the intuitive within us, the healer within us, the medicine women and men within us, the leaders within us, it's all in here. And when we talk to people like Mary or the other speakers or ourselves, we just get to unlock that a little bit more and come back into this beautiful place of connectedness. And so, Mary, welcome. What was that card, Flea?
That was the awareness one. Sorry, Mary.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a great card.
beautiful. Oh, so Mary, please say hello, and would love for you to just welcome yourself and just share some more of who you are and what you're excited about today.
Yeah, hi. Yes, Mary Miller from the United States. Actually from the East Coast. Let's see a little more about me. As you guys had shared with everybody, it's an intuitive empath here, and I just try to help people as I'm guided to, and sometimes it involves going into the Akashic records and great guidance in there. Um, and other times, just following the guides where, where people, where we need to go.
Yeah. This beautiful wisdom that comes through. I mean, our guides, our guardians, our angels are always there. But sometimes in this human life, we don't realize that, or we think that we're by ourselves a lot. And so, was there ever a time, Mary, where you probably felt that disconnect, in your life? Or was there a moment where you're like, you awoken more deeply to, like, well, I do have guides? Or is this something that you've always been connected to as a child?
Oh, definitely wasn't connected to this as a child. It just there was a point in my life. It's like ghosts don't exist, spirits don't exist. And then one day, on the 30th anniversary of my grandmother's death, she gives me this beautiful, really golden hug. And I was like, oh, we have to rethink this. And then open the doors to,
Mm,
a whole box full of questions fully dismissed, you know.
mm,
Then eventually got around to, learning Reiki, and that opens a whole bunch of other doors. So,
mm. That seems like such a fascinating story. I actually had the opposite, whereas I saw things as a child and it was through people going, "Oh, that's not real. You can't see that." Or, it's a great imagination you have, Felicia, like all that sort of stuff. And that part of me just went, "Oh, okay, I must be making it up." And slowly, that just dwindles away. So I'm actually really looking forward to when it comes back in fully, and that tapping in where that clarity is just magical. That
I mean,
certainty that comes with, okay, it's coming from somewhere
yeah,
else.
you already have a natural. All you gotta do is like put the
Mm,
on switch on. You're all set. My daughter, I know, was a similar situation like you, Flea. I know she probably thought it was perfectly normal. I'm sure her great grandparents are hanging around her crib. I mean, she wasn't really telling us, but she was just sharing us with stories what she sees around the house. I was like, oh, okay.
mm,
And we did have ghosts in our house because her other house. Because one time the babysitter went and asked my daughter, "Do you have a piano in the house?" And my daughter said, "No, we don't have a piano in the house." Because someone was asking, she heard someone asking, "Can I play the piano?" And she just told the babysitter, just matter of factly, "We have ghosts." Like, what's the big deal?
Wow. I
Uh,
love this. I love this where this thread is going. It's like, when we are babies, when we are children, we are so open. And then, like you flee, things get closed off. I think for me growing up, I just had this feeling, this sense that, that there was something else. And I would always imagine, like, the fairies and allowing my
mm,
imagination to go wild. But, my mother's Filipino. So there is a very deep shamanic side there where we've got witch doctors in our families, our healers. There is also lots of toxicity and a lot of beautiful earth medicine in there. And so it
mm,
came with this understanding growing up that ghosts were real and they were really negative because of her experience. And like,
mm,
there was like this fear, this deep fear around the spirits, and but also like this deep respect of when you go into nature, when you go into here, you have to bless the land or say this,
mm.
otherwise you're going to upset them.
oh,
And
I
so
am
there
always
was
asking
this
permission.
this piece that I rejected from that. Yeah, yeah. And so there was this piece about permission, but the way it was expressed to me came through with a lot of fear. And so then I rejected a lot of that growing up, and I rejected a lot of
Mm,
um, her wisdom and medicine because it was forced upon me that you need to do things this way.
mm,
This is going to protect you. This is going to do this. And I was like, I needed explanation. I needed understanding. Well, why does that happen? And I like totally rejected it and turned it off and didn't even, again, I was like, I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in that. I just believe in people and this. And then there was like a whole heap of experiences that started opening my heart more to coming back to God, coming back to the divine, to nature, to understanding the elementals. And yeah, I found it really fascinating to even go back to her to kind of share my little insights to maybe go, well, what if it was
mm,
this instead of this?
I hope she
So,
was listening, at least thinking about it. Because I know I
yeah.
had all kinds of interesting questions, some that made adults a little uncomfortable. But we won't bring up those questions right now, what I may have asked. But I will bring up, I remember as a child, um, I don't know what teenager didn't have a hard time. Um, but I just remember thinking, what if we were just a pocket of light? What if we were? And you just go flying through the universe. And then later on, later on, you're like, oh my God, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and I also remember taking basically, it was quantum physics, and we're all like trying to locate an electron. It's like, oh, okay, so you only have a 90% chance of both having location and its speed. You're not going to have both, and even then, it's only 90%
Mm,
accuracy. It's like, what's this about? Yeah, waves. And
Yes.
I'm always thinking about waves. Like I'm watching, at the ocean, you just watch the waves come together, being, concurrent or when they come together like that, and it's just wow. It's always in threes
mm,
for me. It's like, okay, you can make choices. It's kind of like the thing in the middle. I call it the node. Stay here. And you go one side. It's one side of the curve, and you go the other way. It's the other side of the curve. It's just like opening,
yeah.
closing of cycles. It's where we get those sine curves from.
Oh,
Who says we
this,
can't bring
this is
math in
also
here?
so fascinating, isn't it? It's these little tiny oddities that, pop up that I'm surprised people are still dismissing them as like coincidences and things like that, because when we like something pops up for us and it's like, oh, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Those little nuances that drive us that way, like that for me was my why question. It's like, well, this makes sense, but that part of it maybe not. And for me, a lot of it was actually going to multiple different types of Sunday school. So it wasn't one dominion. It was usually, like whatever was local and close and could pick us up, sort of thing. So we got to experience all sorts of religion growing up. And that was really special in the way that it showed the variations. It's like, okay, but these people are saying that and these people are saying that. Why? What is the similarity? And it's a similarity. And you said quantum physics just then, Mary, and that just brought me into what I've been doing in the last 2 years, which is trying to look at the scientific methods and how they explain what we're feeling. Because I've gone down the healing path of looking into the human body, down the
Yes.
energetics of who we are and how we go, and they're all the same. The terminology changes because obviously we all have a different perception and a different understanding at different levels. So therefore, we have so many modes of the same information.
I
We
mean,
are more
yeah.
than just our human body.
I mean, what did Tesla say? Just think about everything in terms of vibrations.
Mm,
And
yeah.
here it is. It was technology that we could be getting free energy. Wouldn't have to worry about polluting anything, consuming
Mm,
things. And well, there it is. Just harness the free energy.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, like it's already been invented and it's really interesting. Well, it's not interesting. We can understand, I think for us, the bigger energetic pieces of why people take power and take this away to keep people in the low vibration, the low frequency, that low, um, let's just be the sheep and follow. And like you said, the frequency and the vibration can change as you change in your evolution, change in the octaves, change in your emotions, change in how you choose to feel, because our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, that's energy too. And so when we notice our vibration and we notice how we're feeling and maybe where we're feeling stuck, or we're feeling in that beautiful joy, it changes
Mm,
the vibration of our hearts and how we hold energy and hold space
mm,
for others. And so, yeah, everything, we have all these beautiful gifts, like free energy. We have plenty of food. There is such abundance here on earth that has been gifted to us. And I feel like there's this time frame coming now where people like us, people are going to get the power back to rise,
mm,
to bring that self responsibility forward, to honor each other. I've just got goosebumps thinking about it. And the more we
mm,
talk about our experiences, our insights, our stories, the more it increases the collective vibration. I'd love for you to share a
mm,
little bit, Mary, about, I know you've done some beautiful work, in the Akashic, in just your own processes and working with people and connecting with the collective and this rising of this frequency and vibration. What is it that, the guides tell you? What is it that your intuition tells you in I suppose what's happening now and what's coming?
Um, oh, it's, yeah, what's coming is, yeah, more of us is rising our vibrations. And for each of us, and we can help someone else who's on the edge, and for us to keep shining, just keep sharing what is shared to us, just share it out.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
know
I
some
love
of us are shyer about it, and they may be holding back some. We try.
I do a little bit. I'm meant to show up more. I know that.
It's hard. It really is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that piece about shining your light. And the more that we hold each other, like in conversations like this, I used to be the shy girl. I didn't like to say anything.
Mm.
I used to be the little girl, like my light would shine when I would dance, and then
Mm.
that would all close off. And then that was the most purest part of me that felt like I was just connected and in my power. That's why I loved it so much. But
But
in
you,
other parts of my life, it wasn't as
Mm.
shiny.
but as you know, dancing is so important to us. Look at you. You right. That's one of the things you do to raise up your vibration. If we do that in the morning, you really get a
Mm.
great start for the day.
That's it. That's it. And on that scientific
I love
level that Flea was talking about, I was just saying, like the science behind it, the dopamine kicks in, all of those
that.
pieces come in. What came up for you, Flea, there with the cards?
I was trying to make sense of this before we started, and I was like, I don't know how these two are fitting in. So it was the deception and envy card. And right as you were talking, Mary, it's like, yes, we're all a little bit shy and it is hard. And straight away it clicked. It is hard because, most of us have experienced at some point in our life where we've tried to speak up and we've been silenced. We've been
Yep.
silenced in some way, whether it's by someone we love, someone we care for, or someone we admire. And I know that this realization hit me quite hard last year because I had an attachment to someone that I just idolized. I just thought, oh, how amazing. I want to be just like that energy. And I was rejected in a sense. And I thought, oh, why does this feel so awful? And it was this reattachment to, well, I actually admired this person and they couldn't see my worth. And in that moment, like the little part of me, the inner child inside just went, oh, okay, I'm not going to show up anymore. I'm going to be silent. And I withdrew a lot of that. And that was just because of that deception and that envy and just a lack of awareness really for, how we impact other people. And this is that
Also,
shadow work, which was
yeah.
paired
Wow.
with it.
But I also was going to say, as attached you were to this person, you obviously was not serving your highest good to be following him, and that's the other thing. Maybe the universe was
Yeah.
trying to help you with.
Yes, yes, it's all come unfolded that way, but in those moments where it is difficult, where we should be sharing and stepping up, that fear, that shadow side of us that keeps us down, is what happened to me. And the flip side of that, though, was we've got the two creative cards, so our energy, our intuition, our sacral. Like this is that gift that we get to step in, that instinct, and just that knowing that what I have to say is important. This drive, this power inside of me is our creative force, which is the solar plexus. And it's our way that we express ourselves in our uniqueness. So, yes, I am different. I didn't want to conform in the same way. I didn't show up in the same way. And therefore, that made me a little bit different. But it's that difference that is actually the celebration in the gift. And just the way these cards tied in together, I just went, okay, there we go. There's our message. And this is what I do. I I let the messages unfold. I allow them to come to me in a way that's natural, and that makes sense to a lot of people. I've done readings online and people are like, "Wow, that's really good. It's really informative." Now,
Yeah.
I've also had the hate where it's, "Oh, that's devil's work and don't do that sort of stuff," or, then picking at my appearance because my hair might not have been great. And For the people that have tuned in today, I look different than I did this morning. 5 o'clock in the morning, we don't have much time to get changed and showered and feeling our best. And that's what you get
Oh,
at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I was gonna say
What you get at
you both look fabulous. What's
it changes though,
Mm.
and sometimes just showing up as ourself in our most raw and disheveled way, we get to be seen, and sometimes it's exactly what the person on the other side that gets to receive it needs. And it's
Mm.
beautiful when we use that intuition, that gift that we know comes from somewhere else.
Yeah. Sometimes that just disheveled look is because you've just been outside in
Mm.
nature. So of course it's looking really good,
Yeah. I love that
Yes.
you brought nature in because this is the most beautiful way to cleanse your energy and tap into intuition. I know, Mary, you love being in nature. I see you in nature all the time in many different spaces. Was there, something in your life that drew you more into, like, I need to be out with the trees and the earth, like, as you were developing your intuition? Or have you always just really loved just connecting and grounding because that has been an intuitive piece to you? I know for me, I've always loved it, but I never really used that awareness and, to really ground deeply until maybe the last 3 years, where I was like, okay, I'm going to bring my awareness and really tap into Mother Earth and tap into the divine and really use this beautiful nature as
My
a
tree.
gift.
Yes. And this,
Yeah.
my tree. She's got a name.
I'd love to share. Yeah, please do share.
Yeah, her name's Genevieve. And she's an organic Granny Smith apple tree. And one day I was like, no, I want to get in, an organic Granny Smith apple tree. And around the corner was a greenhouse. It was actually going out of business. It's like, all right, we'll see what's left. Of course, that's where she was.
Mhm.
And then just start
Mm,
spending time with her. And actually, Fernanda was encouraging us to spend some time with the tree. Find the tree that calls you. Well, it was
mm,
her. And now I really want to ground with her. I just kind of her feet and my roots would just imagine we're together that
mm,
way. It's really cool
mm.
to ground
I
that way.
love that. I love that we're talking about this because I
Mm.
feel like when we just start playing with curiosity and imagination, things start opening up in how you see the world. And I remember when I was in Bali, I went on a beautiful journey, um, shamanic medicine journey, and with the sacred mushrooms, and really went in. And when I was deeply present, the trees, there was like this energy to them. Like I could see faces, I could
Ah,
see like where they were from, and they were like dancing. I could see them like, oh my gosh. And it just like, I knew there was like a connection, but to like have just this other layer of like, wow, I'm going to be looking at trees and feeling them in a different way and inviting that conversation to talk to them. And then even before I went to Bali, like again, I think Fernando or somebody else was like, just talk to the trees and see what they have
yeah.
to say. And there's so much wisdom. And when you are discerning and tapping into intuition, it sounds different. It's not your voice.
Oh yeah.
What is it that you, I suppose, as you've been developing your intuition and talking to nature, talking to the divine, the guides, the elements, how do you know the difference between what is your voice and what is guides or earth or something else, spirit, versus, yeah, spirits and ghosts? Like they there's a different energy and frequency.
There is a little bit, and also kind of like where it's kind of landing on my body is another hint. And
Mhm.
I also get stories from buildings. That could be fun. I mean, that's obviously with a lot of intention and permissions for that one. And yeah, I mean, I did it for my own, my grandfather's house, even just try to get the last bit of stories before we hand that over to the owners. Oh, you guys weren't asking those questions, but maybe we'll just go there. Um,
Go
Go there. Yeah.
um, so we're setting the intentions about having the right buyer buy this my grandfather's house is very unique. It's a 1928 house, and of course, it's wasn't really been updated, so you're going to hear, okay, we're hearing quirks. Yes, quirks, and but anyway, it's one of those houses that people want to really look at. So our realtor had open house. 121 people, I guess, show up. Over 120 people showed up. Not one, uh, not one bid, but the one who did bid, they ended up, buying it. And it was the right circumstances. And 50,000, we couldn't believe it. They even went for over asking at the time. I mean, this is when real estate was really hot. Actually, it was the hottest month back in 22, I think it was. It's like good timing to have that house on the market because we don't know how else it was going to. Anyway, I had a situation where, in the process of selling the house, and of course, my dad was living there, so you're not going to update the smoke alarms. Why would you? So, so the inspector had to. All they had to do was check one switch, so I could sign off before the new buyers were going to do their walkthrough. I mean, I was doing fun stuff in the house and trying to get a buyer for it, and they're obviously the one that answers to all my stuff I was doing in the house, but I also felt it was one more thing to do with the house. Just go around and do certain energies for different rooms. And it's like, oh, this piece of furniture is right. It's like, oh, you saw too much back at the old house. Let's clear it. Because they took on some of our furniture. It's like, as a matter of fact, their realtor's like, this is like the friendliest transactions we ever had, like in years. It's like, oh, do you guys want the furniture? We weren't even going to try to sell it. Did you want it? Because it kind of goes with the house. So, I mean, we could have gotten money for it, but But anyway, so room by room, I did like that. And so one room was with some really fun energy, some child energy or whatever. So anyway, their realtor caught me for wait. For I was trying to leave. Want the worlds to collide, as they say. It's like, okay, so we ended up having conversations with them. I did, and they were asking me questions about the house. I mean, for them, this is great. They really wanted these stories. So I said, I imagine you guys putting canoes by the pond. She goes, matter of fact, we do. So, and then I talked about a story about our Japanese friend of the family. You don't want to talk about that. We just say he was there for 5 years. And she talked about how her son loves Japanese stuff. So obviously he's going to move into that room. And they had their toddler with them. And they go to this room. And he just ran to one of the twin beds. He goes, mine. And they were asking me about the energy in this room. Who was there before? And I just told him another story, about a maid or whatever. And I also remember I opened the records another time just to get some other stories from the house that no one else could tell, and one other previous owner. So that was fun. And I did the same thing at my grandfather's business as well. And that was pretty awesome. It was like I was seeing different employees and stories are coming through.
Wow.
And I asked my one of my teachers about this. She goes, is it the building or is it the energies in there? She goes, it's actually both.
Both.
Yep. Like, that was pretty cool. Well, we're going to play with this a little more.
Yeah. I love that you went there, because this piece of this came up for me last year as I was growing in my intuition, and I was in this beautiful old school. I knew I was going to the school. I knew it was going to be the last school I was officially at in this position. But there was this beauty, because it was so old. The intention of this school was to bring education and to bring empowerment and to bring, there was like this light, but there was also this sadness. And I could see it in the rose bushes in the gardens. I found myself crying a lot in the lunchroom by myself on the balcony. And partly it was me also grieving parts, but I also felt it was not only the building, and I could feel the anchoring of the land, because it looked down onto the beautiful Ipswich River, beautiful surroundings. And it was this sadness that people didn't see it for what it was there for. And like the people in there didn't realize how I don't know. There was like a sadness there, but there was also I felt the stories of because like it was run by nuns
Mhm.
and like the young women that would come through there and the harshness, but also some fun. Like there was a lot. And I said to
Mm.
another friend of mine, I feel like the building is like talking to me, and I could
Probably
feel,
was.
and I was like, it was. And so it was like I was also there. It felt like I was there for the building as well to help heal the energy. I know that sounds weird, but even
No,
my
no, not at
presence
all.
there, it
No,
was like for me to acknowledge that because like we were talking
Mm.
about energy and frequency, everything has a vibration.
everything.
And just for me to
Mhm.
feel that for the building, for the energies in that space, for the land that was
Yes,
holding that building.
that too. Yeah. Eh, So yeah, oh my goodness, that's the other thing. I have two different stories. I don't know which one I want to share first, but yeah, I want to talk about something that happened with just soul emotion. I was reading about this awful orphanage in Ireland, and I was like in tears, and I found myself there. You know, no air flight needed, just boom. And then I had all this great guidance what to do, and I'm just heal this and heal that. But I obviously went unprotected. I had,
Mm.
one psychic said, "Yeah, you healed. You healed one thing, but you healed more than you thought." And then they're like, "You got to go back and do forgiveness for the nuns too." I was like, oh,
Yeah.
"Okay, I got that." And I
Yeah.
was like, "I never done that before." It just even your soul emotions can just
Yeah.
and
I love
I just yeah, I get our guides can really lead us to other things. It gives a bunch of little breadcrumbs. I mean, you guys, and if you've seen some of my other interviews, and you probably know about my travels and the land and how, you know, I was purposely avoiding, any battle sites, whatever. And now that's what I do now. And I am now a Civil War expert. And I'm now being guided to spend a lot of time in Missouri to, the Civil War, the Trail of Tears for the Indians. The rivers are very powerful and a lot of geography, apparently.
Mm.
So, I'm adding a lot of states and geography. I don't even know about the United States, but I'm gonna just doing this trip alone.
Oh, feel
Mhm.
you. I know Flea and I have had these visions of our expansions of the academy and the land,
Mm.
and I'd love for you to share, Flea, like this topic is really interesting with building spaces, land, that intuition. What's coming through
Mm.
for you with what we've experienced and what Mary's just sharing here?
Yeah. Funnily enough, I was actually just having an aha moment just with my house. When we moved into this house, in this particular room I'm in, my daughter used to say, "Oh, there's something in here, mummy. It keeps opening the cupboard." And I was like, "Oh, that's okay." And I went through the rituals of how to play nice with spirits and everything. And we had this funny little cupboard. It was a very random, about so high off the ground, like it was larger than a step, that was a little triangle in the lounge room. And every time, like, we'd walk past, it'd just come open. And it was one of those push in squeak type doors. And it's like, oh, there they go again. And we did actually find out that a young gentleman, one of the sons, had been riding motorbike and was killed, that lived in this particular room and house. And I was like, oh, okay. And we had this little game that we'd sort of play, going, oh, the ghost is playing tricks on us because he's young and mischievous. And I was just thinking about all the problems I have with my light in this room. I was like, okay, it's been fine since I've been sitting here saying, please stop playing with my light. So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, oh, he's been playing with my light. Now I know why it's cracking up on me.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
crazy.
Having a
And I have no idea
but
what's
yeah.
wrong with the sound right now. It's going.
Oh yeah, he heard you. he's playing with the frequencies. Like, yep, yeah, thank you for acknowledging, thank you for noticing, and I think what I am not that way inclined, like spirit
Mm.
energies don't come that way to me, but I know many amazing people that do. Um, and yeah, it's fascinating when we listen, and mostly it is like that wanting to be acknowledged and healed and going back to the light. Do you work with those beautiful spirit energies that come through, Mary? And like, I know you've been sharing with the land and and the different places in architecture. You know,
As a matter,
what have you ever experienced?
as I say, as a matter of fact, I guess I'm working on a book now, because I am now channeling different spirits, and I've also had healed, and it was really beautiful. Um, Opposing regiments from like the Civil War, and they're like holding hands together, and they went off together. Those were beautiful. It's been a while since I did those. Sorry. And at the same time, I channeling like Green. That was just his name. He was a slave. He had lived in South Carolina, and I, I'm learning to ask the better questions. But he's really has a really great. I made him. What he had to say may actually be part of what I'm going to share in the summit, because I think it will probably lead into the meditation I want to do. Of course, it will be with the ancestors. What else would it be? So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and when we start opening the channels, like you said, asking better questions so you can have clarity of what it is that is yours versus others versus nature, divine. There are different frequencies, and that
And
discerning process and mastery takes a while.
certainly, I know part of the reason why they gave me the Civil War first. There is just so much stuff written on it. So, like when I'm channeling a general, like, oh, okay, so how old are you? You tell me his age. I'll look it up. Oh my God, that's when he died. Oh, thank you for that.
Hmm.
You know? But the times you're interviewing privates, you're gonna have to go. Just have to trust yourself, because
Yeah.
I don't get find his
Yeah.
diary even. You know.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it makes me think of beautiful Dolores Cannon, bless her soul. Like, she was probably one of the first books and intuitive channelers that went into the quantum and guided through really beautiful questioning
Mm.
the stories. And if anyone's listening in, you haven't heard of Dolores Cannon, Convoluted Universe, there's so many series. She has some really fabulous
Mm.
work. But what you shared then, Mary, of like you channeling through these amazing energies coming through to share their story, I think is really powerful. And the beautiful piece that you also shared, like when you look it up, you get that affirmation that it's like, this is not in my head, because there is truth there and there is evidence there. And sometimes we get the evidence, and other times we just have to trust our heart.
Oh yeah, because I call it a tea party, because one time I had did a channeling with John Quincy Adams and Varnia Davis. I don't know if you guys know who John Quincy Adams is. All right, he was our sixth U.S. president, who was quite strongly against slavery, and he did what he could. And
Mhm.
actually, he is probably the most qualified president the United States will ever see, but still didn't get anything done because, well, people with money wouldn't like his ideas. But anyway, and Varnia was actually the wife of the Southern president during the Civil War. Now she too had an interesting idea about slavery. I can't believe I'm bringing this up. um,
Belly.
but so I'm glad I recorded that whole conversation, because it'd be like, that had you all in my head. And I played it back. I'm like, whoa, that definitely was John
Mhm.
Quincy Adams talking. The way you talk like that. And it was,
Wow.
I mean, those are, I mean, I want to go back and have them continue their conversations because there's a lot of cool ideas between the two of them. They're very well educated and they have a
Mm.
lot of great ideas. And um, but she herself, she's such a motherly energy about her.
Mm.
Mm.
Uh,
I used to have the same things when I was so I'm trained in English and art to teach in high school, but a lot of the times we're thrown into subjects that we aren't actually qualified in. So for me that was history and geography, and I was like, I can't teach this. I don't know anything about these events, and like my understanding of history was, quite limited to begin with. And what I found is like in the class, I'd be researching something or talking about something, and all of a sudden I'd have these parts of information that just went with what I was saying. And it's like, I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels true. And I'd get the kids to check it. And it's like, yes, it was, miss. And it's like, okay. So this is what was coming through. And it is that Akashic records, that internal wisdom
yeah.
of
Well, I
knowing.
totally get that.
And yeah, I've done past life journeys and meditations and things like that, which has showed up that I am connected to the ancient Mesoamerica and all of that. And I was like, okay, well, now it makes perfect sense. One, why I was thrown into a job that I couldn't do, well, thought I couldn't
What you
do.
thought you couldn't do.
And then, yes. And then two, it was actually to enliven within me this information of a past that has been um, sort of wiped out, like most of the Spanish conquest and all of
Yes.
the ancient traditions and rites and all of the symbols, everything was missing. So the only interpretation we have in a historic sense is what comes from the Spanish. And for me, it was like, hang on a sec, no, this is not the learning. Like, if we're going to learn about it, we have to understand what was happening on the other side.
Understand
And
those
that
tribes.
wisdom came through, and it was just powerful and so in depth that it actually brought about a desire to want to learn more and to understand why history is so important, and all of these sort of messages that keep repeating. We keep seeing the same cycles. Why are we going into a World War III? Like, have we not learnt these type of
But we hope we
circumstances that
won't.
keep arising?
We hope
No,
we won't.
there's I don't
Yeah.
believe we will. I
I
I
think,
believe there's
yeah.
enough of us that know the right
Yeah.
way.
That's part of my land work too. It's like, okay, fine, the event happened, but change the energy around it. So,
Yeah.
but and as
Mm,
always, time seems to be one of those things where it's happening now, the future, and the past simultaneously. So that's kind of interesting, playing with the energy as we
mm,
see it now. How's it going to play out for the
yeah,
past and the future?
Yeah. I
Yes.
love this concept of time.
mm,
Like I always kind of look at it like if people think you've got from one end, I don't know if you can see this, to the other, and like this is the beginning and you got to get to this part, but really it's like all in the now, you know.
Right? I love
and
that.
and I don't know if you showed me this paper thing, but it's like it's that thin veil where it's like
mm,
you can collapse time easily through your imagination, through the mind, through that felt intuitive awareness that is ingrained in our DNA, and in the in between moments of the breath, of the
mm,
Very
pause,
important.
of the void, which is that darkness and that unknowingness. And so, yeah, I love this where this is chatting like past, present, future is so powerful. I mean, I was in this beautiful container the other day with some new breathwork facilitators, and I was supporting as a support staff member, and going through the emotional body, going through the mind, going
mm,
back in time to that moment where that person was experiencing trauma. And I've gone through this as well, collapsing time, making that little girl within feel loved by the angel of her now, and collapsing the time, because then that heals all of those pieces when you choose differently in that moment back here, and then you get to
mm,
Yeah.
see the ripple effect here. And you're doing that with the land. We do it with ourselves, and just allowing our wings to open and go back to those moments. It might not even be like, you don't have to remember the exact moment, but the feeling, that feeling of like, even if you were 2, or even if you were in the womb, or even if you were like 16, going
Or
back to
two
that
days
little boy
ago.
or that little girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just loving yourself through that and holding yourself and
Mm.
going, I got you. I got you. I hear you. I love you. Like, that's powerful. Mm.
And the
Yeah.
beauty of what you just said, Marie, is with your piece of paper, yes, you can collapse time, but you can also twist it and distort it. So
Yep.
just knowing that it's pliable, like this concept of reality that we have is multidimensional. Like if you just think of the layers, and I've spoken on this before, when we go back to a memory, even if it was just a few minutes ago as to what I just did, like how did I do it? Oh, I might change it. Like me going 5 seconds back to try and replicate what I've done already creates a shift in that dynamic.
Yeah.
Because one, I'm trying to remember what was there, and there's micro nuances in my body, in my personality, in my essence, in my energy that shift how I do it the second time. And
It's
if we
like,
can see it in such small minute fragments, like try and do the same thing twice, exactly the same, you can't, because you've
it's,
already got the understanding of the first time.
but the other thing is, it brings in science again. Remember they talk about the observer dilemma? Don't things act different while
Hmm.
being observed or something? Both of you are affected.
Hmm.
Ah, I
Absolutely,
love
I
hearing
love time concepts and just this idea of reality. And my mind works in pictures, so I see the web. I can see, okay, if I make this choice and I go down here, it's going to go into these 5 paths. And I can see if I make this choice, it's going to spread into 13 different paths. And this is something I've always had the ability to do. It's like, okay, if in these choices, and this is where like understanding ourselves and our design really come into play with this um, ability to create your own reality, is
And then
that
you
you've got to be
get to
able to see
choose.
the consequences. Yes, you've got to be able to live in this plane of duality, so knowing the right and the wrong and the flip side, but being able to use time, as we've just explained, to flip the axis so that we then have this more complex understanding of how everything interrelates and revolves around. Everything's in motion. So if we're trying to say, okay, in 5 years' time, I'm going to be here, okay, yeah, but don't forget it's going around blah, 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 to get to there. And you may have experienced 15 different things and, 100 different opportunities or choices along that way that determine how
You
you get there.
you
So that
think you
pathway,
may
yeah,
be
it
going
might end
there,
up going
and
like
they
this,
yeah,
still get there.
but along the way, another better, more
Coming
aligned
up over
idea
here, and
happens.
here's my web up here, and now the spider's looking over here, and it might want to come back down here, and then it's going to go there. Everything uses the past. It also uses the now, and it's also using the present in every single thing that we do. So just knowing that this dynamic is available for us, this awareness, gets us to make more aware and informed choices, which I guess
Mm.
goes back to what we were talking about with the academy,
And our
is
and
how
our
can we utilize the things.
and our future
Sorry,
is
Mary. Yeah.
already and our future's already in our field around us as well. So yeah, they're all around us. And then we're not even going to talk about they talk about these parallel universes. So
Parallel or
Yeah.
just, existing.
And this is the eternal now, past, present, future, multidimensional, parallel. It's the eternal now that is ever
Mm,
evolving, ever expanding. And this is massive for our human minds to try to even fathom. And we can only have a glimpse with our experience, which is still a minute thing to feel, but I think
we
it's that felt for me. It's that felt. I don't know how to put it in
mm,
words sometimes, but it feels. I know what it feels like.
mm.
yeah.
We can actually simplify it. So we want to provide an academy in every single country, state, hopefully everywhere, where we get to utilize the land, things that have been abandoned. So I love the idea of taking an old warehouse that's just been left and recreating it and making it loved again, taking the structure and the materials and using them in different ways that are creative to create an academy that is, one, working with what we've already done, but also bringing it back to nature and how we can reuse it. So for me, what I've done is I've taken the steps. I left my job. I've created the academy with Marie. You know, those little threads, those little choices that I've made have made it plausible. So even though we don't have a physical building just yet, all it takes now is for somebody to want to be part of that academy, for that thread and that choice and that dimensional layer to unfold. And that's the simplest way of like putting this reality, is by making a choice. So we made the choice, we want to teach differently. We're sharing our dream and our vision, and who knows, the next person to see this video might just have such property that they want to turn into an academy. And this is where those layers and interconnectedness of human energy all merge together. And that's as simple as it can be put. Our experiences and our ideas become the choices we make, and therefore our
And
reality.
I just feel like both of you may have seen at least one of these academies, and and
I've
that's
seen
in your
many.
field. Yes.
I've seen many.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah. And
They are
it's
so inviting and
this,
engaging.
that's it. And this visionary part, which is the oracle within us. I mean, we're here as women, but we can tap into that in the Akashic and the quantum and this knowingness and holding that dream, but also detaching and trusting the universe that whatever the guides and team is creating in the invisible gets to help us bring it into the physical visible plane. And so that's some of our big dreams. Mary, what are some of your big dreams for yourself?
um. Well, I'm thinking I want my just to have my healing business, going, and um just to help other people just figure out what they want for their lives, and help them with their blocks, and um obviously we're help them find their voice, because I'm still working on it. um and also I am pretty sure, yeah, I got some books to get out there, but I could see them in volumes. It makes more sense to just put them in little volumes. Otherwise, when none of them will come out, let's put it in a volume, put that out, start another one.
That's it. Just have to start.
I love that. I just got goosebumps. I can see these beautiful volumes in these books and these channeled stories. I've got more goosebumps, and it's the baby steps. The fact that you're here and, we were just talking about that nervousness before and just really taking that courage and that leap of faith to go, you know what? This is me showing up for myself. I'm going to connect with more people to share my story, share my wisdom as I am. Because every time we do that, the light gets bigger and bigger. And we get to share our dreams and share what is going to be unfolding, and then we get to hold each other in that vision
Yeah.
as well. So I see you in that, and I feel this, and we're excited that Mary is also one of our speakers for our summit, our Awæcnian Summit, Seeking Sovereign Souls. So beautiful. Mary will be sharing a little bit of her story, and she mentioned earlier taking us through a beautiful guided meditation. And here in Australia, it will be Anzac Day. So, the day she's on, Flea and I, out of deep respect and honoring of our ancestors, we haven't programmed anything for the day, our morning or throughout the day. So we are going live in the evening and the afternoon. And beautiful Mary, I think, will be one of our guests as well. So again, tapping into the wisdom of the masculine protector energies that are coming through, I think will be really beautiful to experience.
And then bringing in the ancestors, that may be more feminine.
Yeah, well, whatever comes through, where it will be what it will be, and I feel it'll be perfect. It'll be just required. And we feel that intuitiveness in you and this beautiful wisdom and guidance. So, Mary, if people want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, but obviously I don't have a link to throw down here. I also have an email of, or maybe we got down the link somewhere. Miller, MRY, at yahoo.com. And maybe the easiest is Messenger on Facebook. Either way. So,
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Oh, this
Who
has
was
been
it?
a beautiful Yahoo.
yes.
I think so.
Yes, Yahoo.
He's writing it now.
I know who has a Yahoo
Oh,
account. I
I still do. I don't check it
yeah.
often.
Still
It's
do.
still there. There is stuff in there that I'm like, I'm going to go back to that. But wow, it has just been a beautiful, fluid conversation. And I've loved the stories you've shared because then it sparked other amazing conversations where, like, I didn't even think we were going to talk about that. But this is why I love
Mm,
this. This is why he loves it because it just is like, oh, we get to talk about this openly, transparently, and authentically because
No.
this is our
yes.
experience.
Now I have a question. So what were you guys thinking we might have been talking about? So
I don't. I just like let go.
Mm,
you don't know. Okay.
yeah. Usually, whatever pops up for me in the cards seems to be what comes out authentically anyway. So I know that during this Mercury retrograde that there is a lot of that shadow side and that fear of ourself that is coming about, and that a lot of people. So for those that don't know, the retrograde is an energetic shift with our astrological events that impacts our energy as well. But it also brings about change. So, age of Awæcnian or age of Aquarius, as we've connected it to, is this time for a deeper understanding and a shift out of the things that no longer serve us. So, this is our shadow side, the things that we're holding on to that no longer serve us. And we know they don't serve us because they make us feel bad. And too much of society and today, people today are feeling bad. They're in disease, they're in depression and anxiety, and their bodies aren't coping. And I know myself that I've suffered with a lot of these ailments and things like that. And these are the things that have allowed me to shift through them naturally without medication, to be able to be aware of my triggers and my emotional responses to things, but most importantly, to express them. It is okay to
Mm,
be upset that the world is going crazy. It is okay to feel fear that, things aren't going as they should. And, you know, these cards, these beautiful messages that just come through, just help us to tap into ourselves a little bit more. Like
I wanted
the
to add,
readings in the books.
right. I just
Yeah.
want to add it's also equinox, so we get the spring cleaning thing on top of everything else going on. So
Yeah.
this is one more thing. Sorry.
yeah. And down under, it's for winter. We're getting ready for winter. So it's like, again, the polarities. And I pulled
Hibernate.
that spiritual, that's it. That spiritual growth card that you were sharing, Flea, is like noticing these parts of ourselves to feel, to express, tap into our intuition, Mary, like you've shared with your stories, and really lean into that place because we are evolving, we are growing spiritually. And I mean, your question is, I do know where we're going because it's always around that spiritual growth and tapping
Yes.
into stories, the power of story. But I let go of like, what questions,
Hmm.
and I just gladly tap into what is being said and then weave it that way because that's part of the fun of it all. And it lights me up to play in that way intuitively, and we get to just
Mm.
dance together in conversation.
I love that we talked about
And we
science
have,
tonight. That was awesome.
yeah, and we do have this deep trust as well, knowing that what is being said is for a purpose for our audience. So those people that are coming through that do tap in via whatever mode or media, like we know that this is for them, whether or not it's something that they can connect with right now, beautiful children, um, or whether it's something that they need to know for later. Like this understanding of ourselves is what brings us to just deliver in this way. Just pure, authentic. What comes out is what is needed. And you mentioned, that little bit of hesitancy and fear at the beginning. Oh, chicken.
Huh?
We love the randomness of Queensland. Just have a
Beautiful.
Sorry, the chicken
Okay.
came in. I'm like, I have to get this chicken. Oh, but
What's
as
the
you were
chicken
saying,
wisdom?
Flea, it's like the chicken. Oh, look, scratch beyond the surface, go deeper, which is what you were just
Yeah.
sharing into. So
Perfect.
yes,
See, everything
this
happens
is
for a
great
reason.
timing. Beautiful Flea. Do you want to just let everybody know before we go what we're getting excited for with the summit? Because I've got more chickens jumping on the table.
Interesting place.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, wow. So, yeah, scratch beyond the surface. So, Seeking Sovereign Souls Summit is all about that. We have a multitude of speakers. I think we're up to 48, 49 now, 48, 49. So, it's filling up. We're finalizing the program. Tickets are on sale, so you can head over to awæcnianacademy.com, spelling exactly how it is under our name there. Tickets are available. It's all around change. It's all around personal development, spiritual development, authenticity, just mindset matters, like everything, ancient wisdom. We're bringing it all together because it all matters. And whether you're just tuning in for one or two things or you're staying for the entire event, we are just so grateful that we get this opportunity to share this beautiful space with all of you lovely people globally. So it is
Yeah.
streaming everywhere.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And the saying is that put your chickens in one basket or something. Is there a saying like that? There are going to be so many amazing people in here.
Mm,
Come in, let's scratch beyond the surface and go deeper. Because if you're seeking the juicy worms and you're
mhm.
seeking that really fertile wisdom and
Nourishment.
grounding and nourishment, yeah, come and find us. Thank you, chickens, for the wisdom. Bye, everybody. I'm going to go and put these guys away. It has been such a pleasure, Mary, and thank you, Flea.
Yes. And thank you for
Thanks, Marie.
thank you for letting me a guest here.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you, Mary.